You might be forgiven if you thought that this sleeping bag was the Carinthia Defense 4 sleeping bag, which is widely loved by bushcrafters all over the world. It is a phenomenal sleeping bag. But this is not the Carinthia Defense 4. This is the British Army issued sleeping bag, and they have shamelessly basically copied, almost cloned, the amazing Carinthia Defense 4 sleeping bag. Here's the thing. If you buy the Carinthia Defense 4 sleeping bag, it's going to cost you close to $300 if you buy it in the United States. This is a surplus British military sleeping bag. It cost me $60. Stick with me and we'll get into it. What is going on, guys? Adam Katz for the Hardcore Camping Gear channel, the channel where we explore and review the camping gear that you need to be self-contained, self-reliant, and most of all comfortable camping in the outdoors without having to spend big bucks on an expensive RV or travel trailer. In this episode, we're looking at the British Modular Defense 4 sleeping bag. This is the part of the modular system that they issue to their troops. It is an amazing bag just on its own, even if you don't buy the lighter weight, what they call the Teutonic bag, which is very similar to the U.S. military's patrol bag. One bag works in conjunction with the other to boost the cold weather usability of this bag. They also, you could buy a liner as well to further increase the cold weather temperatures that you can get out of this bag. It is really an amazing bag. It's probably my favorite military surplus sleeping bag. However, stick with me to the end of this video because at the very end, I'm going to tell you my absolute favorite feature of any sleeping bag that this sleeping bag has. In addition, I'm going to save you some money. I'm going to save you some money by telling you which accessory you absolutely do not want to buy and what you should, probably consider buying instead. Let's get into it. Apologies if I'm yelling, but I'm outside and I want to make sure that the microphone picks up my voice. It's also super cold out here right now. So what I like about this sleeping bag, number one, obviously the price. I mean, for 60 bucks, how do you beat that? You just, even for brand new sleeping bags that are on the market commercially, you're not going to get a bag that's this good. Now it is surplus, that's why it is a little bit less expensive, but I don't have any problem with that. I threw it in the washer, it washed up just fine. I mean, it was in, I would consider good to very good condition when I received it. Now, what I like about this sleeping bag is that the zipper has this baffle that goes over the zipper, which is attached with Velcro, which is a very nice feature. But the zipper is in the middle of the sleeping bag rather than on the left side or the right side, which I think is just fantastic because it makes it so much easier, especially if you're a side sleeper or you toss and turn. It's just much easier to know where that zipper is, especially in the middle of the night if you turned over like this, for example, and it's difficult, to figure out which side the zipper's on. So that's a really great feature. The zipper goes pretty much all the way down to the foot box. It does have a reinforced foot box. This then zips up to your traditional mummy bag. It is a little bit wider than a lot of military surplus bags at the top. Now me personally, I'm not super crazy about mummy bags. I used to be when I was quite a bit younger. I liked that kind of cocoon feel that you'd have, but maybe as I've gotten older and maybe a little bit wider, I've come to actually prefer the rectangular sleeping bags. They're just more comfortable. But the problem with the rectangular sleeping bags is they tend to lose a lot of heat from the top. So, if you're a backpacker, if you're a bushcrafter, if you just want a bomb-proof sleeping bag that's definitely going to keep you warm, you're probably going to want to go with a mummy-style bag like this because you have less space for your body heat to warm up. So that's a really great feature just in general of mummy bags, but obviously the downside is that you have less room to move around in. This, because it's a little bit wider at the top, more wide than most sleeping bags, it's a little bit more comfortable. My preference still is for the rectangular style sleeping bag. That being said though, if you want a bomb-proof sleeping bag that you want to throw in, the back of your truck or something, or, if you are backpacking, or just, in case of emergency, I don't know how you can beat this thing. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my U.S. military, the MSS sleeping bag. It's a great sleeping bag as well. I'm going to do a separate video on that. This one beats it, in my opinion. If I'm not mistaken, and by the way, this is the tall version, so it's got an extra, I can't remember how many inches at the bottom, just because I'm 6'1", I wanted to make sure that I wasn't too tight in the bag. You can find these at a lot of different military surplus websites. I'll flash on the screen right now the website that I bought it from. I'll turn it over. You can see the back. I'll do a close-up shot, some B-roll, so you can see up close, like some of the shortcomings of the fact that that it is a surplus bag. I do want to open this up. I believe, if memory serves correctly, the addition that they made to this bag, which the Carinthia 4 does not have, and correct me in the comments if you have a Carinthia Defense 4 sleeping bag, but I believe that the British military added these pouches here, which is a really great feature if you want to put, your cell phone or a knife or a map or whatever gear that you happen to have with you. It's just nice. Or camera batteries, for example, because when camera batteries get cold, they tend to stop working. So really cool. Let me show you something else you could do with this bag design that makes it especially easy because of the center zip feature and the fact that it's a mummy bag. One sec. So I've got a little backpacker pillow right here. Now, if you sleep on a cot, you're probably going to be tempted to want to use a full-sized pillow, which you can obviously, but the problem with a cot is that the pillow will have a tendency to slip off. So with a backpacker-sized pillow here, what you can do is you can put this inside the bag, just like that, and it stays in real nice so it doesn't end up slipping off in the middle of the night. All in all, for 60 bucks, honestly, I think this is probably the best $60 I've ever spent. Even though I don't like mummy bags per se, I have a hard time seeing myself ever actually get rid of this thing, just because it's so well designed. The fabric, the materials, everything is right on the money. They really did a good job in ripping off the Austrians. And the backstory to that was, I'm assuming, was that the British military, the British government, didn't want to outsource their bag manufacturing to the Austrians, because if they ended up getting in a war and supply lines were cut off, or if something happened to the manufacturing base in Austria, for example, they'd be up a creek. So they wanted to keep their sleeping bag manufacturing domestic. I think that was probably a smart choice. So this would be my choice. If you're going for a military surplus bag, I really like the U.S. military bag as well, but I'd probably choose this one over that. Now, on to my favorite feature of this bag and most military surplus bags that I think make them far superior to the majority of commercially available sleeping bags. Now, you'll see that this zipper here, I don't know if this is technically a YKK zipper. Typically, YKK zippers, which are the big heavy-duty ones, like the best in the industry, they typically say YKK actually on the zipper. And hold that up for you. And these do not. So it's hard to tell. They do seem in function and usability to be very similar to the YKK zipper. You can see that there is this baffle behind it, so it prevents the cold air from coming in through the zipper, which is a fantastic feature. But the most important feature, the feature that I don't like buying bags that don't have this feature, is that in the event of an emergency, you have to get out of your bag. Some reason the tent caught on fire, or there's a bear or something coming through your tent, or who knows what. Just the typical kind of way that the brain functions when you've got PTSD, and you've got to get out of your bag in the middle of the night. Maybe you just got to take a piss. The benefit to these military style bags is that to get out of the bag, all you have to do is just rip it open and the zippers fly open. A lot of the commercial bags, like the Snug Pack bag that you saw me review in another video, they don't do that. Okay, so here's my tip that's going to save you some money. When you order this bag or any military surplus bag, Typically what they'll do is they'll sell you just the bag without the compression sack. The compression sack is usually an upsell, and frequently it'll be an extra $30. It's not worth it. The compression sack, or the sack that holds the sleeping bag, is typically beat to hell. That's what, when the sleeping bag's in the compression sack and they throw it onto the back of a military truck, or they're dragging it behind them, or who knows what, that's the piece of gear that gets beat to hell. So frequently they'll be patched up and in pretty rough shape, much rougher shape in my experience than the actual sleeping bag itself, which I've had really good luck with most military surplus gear, and specifically the sleeping bags. But the compression sack, don't do it, because they want to sell it to you for an extra $30. So instead, go to Amazon and buy an aftermarket stuff sack. So this one, I'm not going to recommend this one, and I'll tell you why. But this is by Red Camp. It's an extra large. It does work for the British military sleeping bag, but what I don't like about it is it's so thin. I would prefer to have a stuff sack or compression sack that's a lot more durable. So size-wise, it fits. Functionality, it fits, but it just doesn't seem to have the durability. Of course, for $12, I guess that's, you get what you pay for. So I'm going to test some other compression sacks, and I'll report back on the channel what I find. If you've got a compression sack, an aftermarket compression sack that you really like, post in the comments below, because I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hey, I appreciate you sitting through this video, and would be really curious if you have a military surplus bag, which one you have, and if you like it. Specifically, if you have the actual Carinthia Defense 4 bag and you have the British sleeping bag, I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts as to how they compare, because I haven't bought yet the Carinthia 4 Defense sleeping bag. So that being said, hey, if you want links to any of the products that we review in these videos, or you just like to support the channel, check out hardcorecampinggear.com. We've got links to all of the gear that we review and a bunch of other stuff that I've personally owned and tried out and tested. It would help support the channel. Do appreciate your patronage, and don't forget to subscribe, like, hit the share button, or however it works. You guys probably know better than I do. And we'll see you in the next one, guys.